What is up, Jesse's World subscribers? Thank you for coming to watch my videos, and I just want to let you know that the channel is growing a little bit at a time. Haven't been able to post any videos recently due to the move, but which you guys probably don't even know about yet. But today I have to work on my car a little bit. My wheel bearings on the front are going out. The car does have 242,000 miles on it, so it's probably about time for new wheel bearings anyway. But I also wanted to, I guess, kind of do a review video. I am going to, I bought a new jack. I bought the Pittsburgh low profile 2-ton jack, 4,000 pound capacity, lifting range 3 3/8 to 6 7/8. Or 16 and 7/8. It does have the rapid pump technology, so we'll see how much it takes to lift my car up. And then I also bought the Walmart Torin Blackjack 3-ton jack stands to put under the car. I have the wheel bearings in the garage. I have to get them out in a second. And yeah, so we're gonna do that. Oh, and I'm gonna change my oil today too, because it's been just under 5,000 miles since I changed the oil, and I checked it a couple days ago and it was basically a quart low, and so I put a quart in, or I put like 3/4 of a quart in just to get it to a safe zone. And yeah, so I'm gonna get to it. I'll start with probably unboxing the rapid pump jack. Alright, so first let's get to unboxing this jack. Got a nice sturdy handle here. Ooh, I like it's got the push button for the release for the jack, so you don't have to try to bolt and unbolt something whenever you want to get it apart. On the top it says, important, follow these instructions before operating. Turn handle counterclockwise to open release valve. Remove 4 screws holding the pump cover. Remove oil fill plug and top off hydraulic oil. Apply pressure to saddle and quickly pump handle several times. Check oil fill hole again and top off with hydraulic oil if necessary. Replace the oil fill plug and turn handle clockwise to close the release valve. Test several times for proper operation before attempting to lift a load. Well, unless they included some oil to put in here with it whenever they sent it, I don't have any. So it's not light, that's for sure. Alright, so this is what we're working with here. This jack cost me $119 at Harbor Freight, and it's got some pretty decent sized wheels on it. The welds look pretty good. So the welds here, you know, there's a little divot in there, but overall pretty decent. Welds down here look pretty good. That one looks pretty good too. See the other side. Oh, rolls easy. Alright, so welds look pretty good. Nice and complete all the way around. Even up here, look pretty good. So overall, I'm happy with the build quality. This plate does spin here, so looks like they have a little blocking tab in here to prevent the handle from going up when it's not supposed to. Pop this out of here. Plenty of grease on there, that's good. It looks like there is, you can see this on the back here, there is a bolt that I have to remove here so I can get the handle to go down all the way. There we go. Looks like that bolt is a 17 millimeter. Go ahead and lock that down. Alright. So let's see how many pumps it takes for the jack to get to max height. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 pumps gets it all the way to the top. I'm sure it'll be much different once it's got a car on it. Let's see if it returns all the way down by itself without any help. And it did. Alright, so overall, I'm definitely I'm happy with the jack so far. We will see how things go with it in the future. Sorry, I had some grease on my hand. I'm about to use it for this car to jack it up and put the new wheel bearings in. But I will bring you guys back once I have a little bit of that done. Let's unbox the jack stands. So it looks like they come in pieces. Got this piece. And another one of them. Alright, so we got both jacks, and put them together real quick. Okay, so on the side, it's got a little thing that says bend this bar, or bend this tab after inserting the ratchet bar. So I'm going to have to get like a hammer and a chisel or something and bend that tab in so I can prevent this from sliding all the way out. So they're a little stiff, the handles are. Obviously, there we go, that's better. Just took messing with them a little bit. still a little stiff. There we go, that's better. All right. So that's the jack stands, the Torin Blackjack 3-ton capacity jack stands. So each one has got a 3-ton capacity, and we're gonna use them today to be safe while changing out the wheel bearings. So off to the next thing. Okay, so I got the wheel bearings, the front wheel bearings, from Rock Auto, and I've already opened this one up, I think. No, the other one. I've already opened the other one up. Looked at it, they're the same wheel bearing. Yeah, this is the one I already opened because it's not in here all right. Okay, so this is the wheel bearing for my car. Should be a direct fit replacement, and it'll be nice to have some new lugs, new bolts to put the lug nuts on, because the ones on this car, they're fairly well, they've been used a lot. I took the wheel off one day after I got these, just to kind of verify that the part looks the same as what's on the car, and it does. So I'll be putting these new wheel bearings in today, hopefully without any problems. So I already got the 32 millimeter torque, or not torque, well it is a torque wrench, but 32 millimeter socket, and I already broke the center axle nut free. You definitely want to do that before you lift the car up off the ground, because it does require quite a bit of force to get it off the ground, or to get the axle nut loose. And yeah, so I also already broke the lug nuts free, so it's time to get the car jacked up in the air, see how this new jack works. Okay, so I paused the video for a second because I wanted to go over something. When you're working on a car, especially when you have the entire front end of the car lifted up in the air, you always want to make sure to be safe. I do have tire chalks, but I cannot find them right now in all of the move. They're just somewhere in the garage, I think, not in the trunk, and so I don't know where else to look. But I did this instead. I have this board that runs from this tire all the way around to the other, and basically put it behind the wheels so that the car can't roll backward. And in addition to that, I put the e-brake on so that the wheel shouldn't move at all either. You know, I try to always make sure that when doing stuff like working on a car, that I'm safe while doing it. So don't want anything stupid to happen. Okay, so I've got the jack placed under the front of the car in the center lift point, and I'm going to see how many pumps it takes to get the car up off the ground so I can replace the wheel bearings and get the jack stands under. Alright, so that was 10 full pumps, and the car is completely off the ground in the front, and ready for the jack stands to go under. Okay, so I got both jack stands under the car. I made sure that the handle is pressed all the way down to keep the, well, to set the jack height basically. And so now I'm going to lower the car down onto the jack stands, but keep the rapid pump jack under the car too. Alright, so that's it. The wheels are off the ground, and the because I got both sides of the car jacked up, I can actually spin the wheel all the way around. One thing that I just realized that I forgot is I didn't break loose the axle nut on the other side, so I'm probably going to have to go back, drop the car back down, and break the axle nut on the other side, and then put it all back up again. Shooting videos, it's never flawless. Alright guys, so I got my error fixed. I got the lug nuts and the axle nut on the driver's side loosened up, and I got the car back up in the air. And so I'm going to start with the, I'm actually going to start with the driver's side doing all this, because the driver's side is the one that appears to be in the worst shape. So I want to make sure to get it done first, just in case something prevents me from doing the other side. Currently, whenever I'm driving about 30-35 miles an hour and I make a left turn, it starts grinding inside, so that's one of the indicators that you have a bad wheel bearing. And I've started to notice a humming vibration on the road that gets louder the faster I go, and I know it's not the brake pads scraping on the rotors. Okay, so I've got the axle nut and lug nuts loosened, so let's go ahead and get them taken off. So I've got this Hitachi impact gun. It is not powerful enough to take the lug nuts off by itself once they've been tightened down, but it does speed up the process in removing them once they're loose. Okay, so I'm going to try to get you guys set up in here. So first things first, we need to get the caliper bolts off. I don't know if you'll be able to see them from the video or not, but there's two caliper bolts right here. They're both 19 millimeters, I believe, which is the same as the lug nuts. That's a little loose. I think it's maybe 18 or 17. Well, it's not 17. Like I said, 19 is just a little too loose for my comfort. There we go. It's an 18 millimeter. So the brake caliper bracket is an 18 millimeter. So what I'm gonna do once I get this off of here is I've got some zip ties, and I'm going to zip tie this caliper up out of the way. Alright, I got the second caliper bolt out, and I just dropped it. Carefully set it up here for a second. Alright, so I've got the caliper zip tied up out of the way. I hope it doesn't snap and fall down, break that brake line. That'd be a bad day for me, but that's all I've got right now to hold it up out of the way. Now I'm going to get started on getting this axle nut off of here the rest of the way. But like I said, it's already loose. I did pre-soak the axle nut and the spindle that it's on with WD-40 before starting to loosen it. So hopefully that helped it, but it came off pretty good, pretty easy. Go ahead and get this rotor off of here. My next purchase is probably going to be new rotors, because these are actually warped, and they're warped and they're scored, and they're old and they're rusted. Okay, so now in the back here, I don't know if I'll be able to get this around here or not. There are 4 nuts in the back here, or bolts, 1, 2, and then 2 on the other side that have to come off. And then once those are off, the wheel bearing will come off. So I'm going to figure out what size I need and work on getting those out, and hope that it doesn't take way too much to do it. I'm going to spray down the front side of these bolts with some WD-40 before starting to back them out, and hopefully that'll help to keep it from getting lodged in there or snapping off or something. Looks like 15 millimeters is going to be my best bet. So I went ahead and turned the steering wheel all the way this direction so maybe I could see better. Alright, that one just broke free and is turning. Alright, that one broke free and it's turning. Okay, this one broke free, and it is also turning easily, thank God. And last one to break free. Let's see how we'll do this here. Alright, this one's broke free too. So everything broke free and nothing broke. I just hope that these bolts clear the transaxle. Okay, that one has cleared the threads on the wheel bearing. And all of a sudden, is there a bunch of tension? How in the hell can it go from being loose to not? Okay, so the third bolt is out, has cleared the threads. So what I'm doing right now is I'm tightening it back in. So what I'm thinking has happened is the outside of the end of the bolt might have had some corrosion on it. So I'm going to tighten it up, not super tight, but just all the way in. And then I'm going to try to clean the end of the bolt off with a wire brush. There's no reason why you should go from super free moving to not, unless somewhere in the middle of the bolt pattern and all that stuff that there got to be, like it got tightened down too much and the bolt stretched and messed it up. But we'll see what happens this time when I get it further out. So far so good. I think it's about as far as I got it beforehand. I think all of the crud on the end of the bolt was causing it to get seized up in there, because it's coming pretty smooth right now. Not quite that smooth yet. Alright. There we go. And the last bolt is all the way out. There we go. So there is currently nothing, no bolts holding this in up here. So those are not there on any of the sides. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be the hard part. I have to pound this out of here now. Okay guys, well unfortunately I have to report that I did not succeed in replacing my wheel bearings. The main reason why is because they would not come out of the steering knuckle. I tried everything I could. I tried pounding on them. I used a blowtorch and I heated up the steering knuckle around the wheel bearing. I used my brake caliper piston depression tool, put it on the inside of the rotor, the big opening for the rotor, and pushed on the axle shaft with the brake piston depression tool, and basically used it kind of like a bearing puller, basically pushing. You know, I had the lug nuts on all four of the rotor holes, or all five, sorry, all five rotor holes had lug nuts on them to keep the rotor from coming off of the car. And the piston depression tool was inside of the brake rotor, basically pushing out the whole time. And so I put a lot of pressure on it with that until I bent the caliper piston depression tool outward, and then I stopped. I was like, okay, this isn't doing anything more. It's just every time I turn it some more, it bends it some more. So that's not putting any more pressure on pushing the wheel bearing out. And so I tried with the pressure from the caliper piston depression tool pushing outward on the wheel bearing. I heated it up with the torch, and then once I got it nice and hot, the torch says it gets up to 2,500 degrees. I imagine I probably had it on there for at least 5 minutes on each side, and then went back to the other side again and heated it some more. And then along with the pressure from the caliper depression tool, the heat, and I have a chisel that I made out of an old broken Craftsman screwdriver. I was using it in the tiny little crack that I could find, and I was trying to hammer on it and pound on it, and I could not get it to come out. So I guess the next step is that I need to try to look into buying a wheel bearing puller to get it out of there the right way. I don't know when that'll be, but I will bring you guys along for the ride whenever I do it. I'm probably going to take this tool back. I rented one of those, or loan a tool thing from AutoZone for the torque wrench. It goes all the way up to 150 Newton meters, or 150 foot-pounds, I'm sorry, not Newton meters, foot-pounds of torque. And based on how tight the axle nuts were when I took them off and how tight I had to get it to put it on, I just maxed out the wrench at 150. Seems like it was pretty even as far as what the torque needed to be. I'll look up later and see if I need to add some more. I did put a little bit more pressure on the torque wrench after I got to the 150. After it clicked off, I pressed down a little bit more to get a little bit more on it. So it's probably at like 160 or 170 or something like that. But overall, fail. Everything's put back together now. I got the tires back on. I got that tire back on. The jack stand's taken out. I still have to remove that board, take the e-brake off, and I got that tire put back on. All of both sides of the axle nut have been re-tightened to somewhere between 150 and probably 170 foot-pounds. The lug nuts are all at 100 foot-pounds. I think they're only supposed to be like 90 to 95, but I just did 100. And now I just have to clean up the rest of my mess. So I'll look into getting the wheel bearing puller and see how much that's going to cost me to get this fixed. In the meantime, hopefully I didn't damage the wheel bearing anymore trying to pound it out of there. I don't want to have to pay somebody to do this, so I do everything myself. Like I said, I got a floor jack now. I've got jack stands now that I didn't have before, and I really need to get myself a high-powered torque wrench so that I don't even have to worry about, like, I need something with breakaway power so I can get stuck lug nuts or stuck wheel bearing hub bolts or whatever, you know, random ass bolt that I need to get out of this car out. I am trying to keep it on the road as long as possible. I don't want to have to buy a new car right now if I don't have to buy a new car right now. Just bought a new house. Trying to get things situated with making payments on that and get, you know, everything settled basically. So like I said, the car is drivable. Wheel bearing isn't so bad that I can't drive it right now, and we'll just see where we're at with it later. I just realized that I forgot to change the oil while I had the car jacked up. I'm kind of tired right now. It's about, well, When I started this, it was about 90 degrees outside, so I'm going to probably save the oil change for tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it in the morning before I go to work and get it knocked out. But yeah, YouTube, that's all I got for today. Not everything's a success the first time around. Get the right tools, maybe it'll be a success the next time. Thanks and have a good day. If you like this content, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Alright, my YouTube family. So yesterday I reported the end of my last video that I failed to get my wheel bearing off my car, and I was very frustrated. I spent hours working on it, pounding on it, trying to get it out of there, and I could not get it to come out. So I did a bunch of research last night, watched a couple of other YouTubers on how they got their wheel bearings out, and came to the conclusion that the only way I was getting mine out was going to be through this method here. Okay, so first of all, I got it out. The new one is set on there, and I've got the bolts to pull it in, hand started in the back on all 4 holes right now. But I wasn't sure if this was going to work. It actually didn't work with the first one. I snapped the bolt off. Grade 5 bolts are not good for this. You need to get higher grade bolts. I barely was able to make this part of it work. I used multiple methods to make it happen. I went to Harbor Freight, and for like 12 something, I bought the Central Pneumatic air hammer. It's this one, Central Pneumatic air hammer. It delivers up to 4,500 blows per minute. Built-in air regulator and positive action trigger. CFM at 90 psi. Compressor requirements 30 plus gallons for continuous use, 7 to 29 gallons for continuous use, or intermittent for 1 to 6 gallons. I have Sears Craftsman 12-gallon air compressor. So continuous use is good for me, but I didn't need to continuously use it. Anyway, it was like $12. And so what I did was I put this bolt here. First of all, I knocked out 2 of the studs, the wheel studs, and I put this bolt with a big nut behind it, and then a washer. This is a hardened washer. The only reason I didn't get you notice all this is like gold and hardened and stuff, and the bolt isn't, is because I could not find one that was full thread that was this long. And I wanted to just be able to use this to pull it all the way out. Unfortunately, I put another one on the other side. As you see here, there's not one stuck in it. And I used that one up against this right here. You can see a small little spot right there where it's a little whiter brown. And the other one over here on this ear that's sticking out right here. And I pushed on both sides. And on this side, over here, the bolt snapped in half. Here's the other half of it. So it snapped off in half. Once that happened, I was a lot more careful with how much pressure I was putting on the other one, because I didn't want to snap the other one off too. I wasn't worried about them getting stuck in there, because I just take my grinder and cut them off if they got stuck. But regardless, I was able to push on them enough, and then I went, grab this before it blows away. I went out to my shed, which is where I had this. It's my 2-pound Stanley drilling hammer. I don't know what a drilling hammer is, but it's a 2-pound sledge. And I got out here after I got the tension on both sides, because even after the one on the right hand side over here snapped off, it was still providing tension because it snapped off behind the big nut and was like the very edge of the snapped off part was sticking out here, like right out the edge of this is where it snapped off at. So I just couldn't tighten it in any more than where it was currently at. So it's providing tension against the steering knuckle and pushing out on the wheel bearing. And the other one, I put just a little bit more pressure on it, enough to where it was putting pressure, but it also wasn't going to snap the bolt off. And then I just started beating on the back of the the back of the wheel bearing. As you can see here, right there, I was hitting it pretty hard right there. And I started with my little hammer. What is this, it's like a 16-ounce framing hammer. I started with that and it just wasn't doing the job, so I went and got my big one. And after hitting it a couple times with that, I noticed that a small crack formed right up here along the edge. I was like, all right, so it broke free. It was no longer wedged in there anymore and wasn't free at all. And so I I used the big hammer and I hit it a couple more times, enough that I could get the air hammer came with this chisel tip. So I hit it enough that, let's see if I can get this thing to focus here. There we go. I could get this chisel tip to get in between the wheel bearing and the steering knuckle. And I had it like this, and I got it in there, just the tip in there enough to be able to start hammering at it, and it just slowly drove down in. And then I did it on all of the sides all the way around, and the wedged hammering action started pushing it out, to the point where it just fell out. So like I said, I was very frustrated yesterday, and I don't like when things like this defeat me. I will do my research. I will look up what other people have done, what the best methods are for doing it, and I don't know how much this would have cost to take it and have it done somewhere, but I spent about, I don't know, the parts were $70 for both wheel bearings, like $78 I think for both of them at Rock Auto. I spent $120 on a new Pittsburgh jack. I bought the air hammer for $12, so we're looking at like $200, so that I didn't have to keep using my torque wrench as a pry bar, because I don't have one. I also bought the $40 Chicago Electric impact gun, the electric one. Like I said, it was $40, so and it says it goes up to let's see here. Chicago Electric Power Tools, half-inch electric impact wrench, fast and powerful with up to 230 foot-pounds of torque. No compressor needed. And on the back, it says max torque 230 foot-pounds. I think there was something around here said that had like a breakaway torque of, I don't know. Anyway, my axle nut was only about 150 or 160 foot-pounds, so 230 is more than enough to take care of that. But yeah, like I said, I finally got. I'm probably going to have to go back to Lowe's or Menards or something like that and buy some different bolts. The nut, and come on. Okay, so as you can see here, I mangled the washer into the big bolt with the nut. There we go. The big bolt obviously is fine. The washer is probably okay to use again because I have to do the other side. But I'm going to have to go buy new pieces because the other setup here, I'm going to have to either that or I'll just cut the end off of this. But I want to have a second one of these. Like, I don't want to just have one. I used two to make it happen this time, and I want to be able to use two again, so I'm going to have to go buy another one. But I think I'm going to try to look for stronger bolts to do the other side. Hopefully everything works out. I can do the other side and be done. Currently it is 10:30. Currently it's 10:30. Sorry, my neighbor was saying hi to me. I started right about 9 o'clock, and I've been on this video for about 12 minutes now. So it took me just over an hour to get all of this apart. And mind you, I had it apart yesterday, so all the bolts came out real easy, but just over an hour to get everything apart and get the new one put in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and bolt everything down. I mean, it's all the reverse order of the other videos that I shot yesterday. Tighten up the bolts on the wheel bearing, and then put the dust cover back on, put the put the ABS wire back in. Okay, so I'll tighten up the bolts in the back, which will pull this in all of the way, and then I'll put the ABS wire back in. Just one 10mm bolt. The back bolts are 15mm bolts. This is a 10, and then I will put my dust shield back on. And those 3 bolts for here, here, and one down here at the bottom somewhere are all 10mm. Then I'll put the brake rotor back onto the car, and then slide the caliper over the rotor. Put the 18mm bolts that go in the back of the caliper back in and cinch everything down. And then last, well, not last, I'll put the axle nut back on and get it, not all the way in, but start it in. And then I'll set the car down on the ground, put the lug nut, or put the tire back on, put the lug nuts on, set the car back down, and tighten down the axle nut and all 5 of the lugs, and then everything will be back together. But I'm not going to record all that because it's just a reverse of what I did yesterday, but I will bring you back once I get everything finished.